She earned the title of World's Worst Mom when she let her 9-year-old ride the subway in New York alone, and she was raked over the coals for it. But she's now fighting back against overprotective parents as an author and now a host of a new series called World's Worst Mom. Please welcome Lenore Skenazy. Lenore, good morning.
Good morning to you down there in Dallas. Hi.
Yes, I know. It's finally warmer here in Dallas. Hey, explain the concept of this show to us. I mean, the title says one thing, but really, this is a kind of a serious show where you're trying to help parents from being too much of a helicopter parent.
Right. I'd say the show is most like the Super Nanny, except instead of coming and dealing with really bratty kids, I deal with parents who are so anxious they can't let go. One mom, for instance, takes her 13-year-old son into the ladies' room with her. Okay? Aww. She doesn't want him to go in the men's room. She's so afraid. He's so embarrassed. He is so embarrassed. Another embarrassed boy, 10 years old, his mom still feeds him sometimes in his mouth like a baby, and she won't let him use a knife. She won't let him ride a bike. Other kids just aren't allowed to play on their front lawn. They're not allowed to walk to school. Basic things that any kid could do, but their parents are too anxious.
So, Lenore, what do you think that the most common trait is with these parents, moms, and I'm assuming maybe some dads who are just
it is some dads,
overprotective?
Now she thinks. You know, what I found over and over again is that they're great parents. They are loving. Their kids were really nice. But they can't stop themselves from going to the worst case scenario before they decide to do anything. So if they imagine their kids playing on the front lawn, they imagine a van coming up and a guy coming out and snatching them and taking them in. If they imagine their kid walking to school, it's the same thing. If the kid is using a knife, she imagines him cutting off his fingers.
Right.
It's what I call worst first thinking. They go to the worst case scenario first, and they can't not see it, and so they can't let their kids go.
And you know, Lenore, don't you think that as mothers, we've kind of all done that at some point with one thought or another?
I do it.
Is it more like an OCD thing with parents, and do you get them ever in therapy where they can actually talk to somebody and maybe get on medication?
You know, what's really interesting is it does seem like OCD, and I'm not a therapist, so I don't know what medication or anything they should take, but I can tell you that of the 13 families that I visited, 12 of them, when I was leaving, were so different, so completely changed, just from seeing their kids have the lemonade stand down the block, or go to the park without them, or climb a tree. When the kids come back and they're really proud and happy, it broke through the fear so much it felt like therapy, but it absolutely wasn't. And what I realized is there's this terror in their heads, and then it is confronted with their kid who is so proud, and they're so proud that I don't even think they need therapy afterwards.
Yeah.
I mean, it just changed them. I printed out the emails that the moms wrote to me after the show because I told the crew, no one's going to believe this is real. They're going to think they were either faking their nervousness or faking their breakthrough. But they're writing now, my kid's going off to camp, my kid rides a bike, my kid's going on an overnight, my kid joined the Girl Scouts. They change. Yeah,
it's all kind of the things that we would consider to be normal. Lenore, let's talk about your situation now. How are things with your son? You did catch a lot of flack for letting him ride that subway at 9 years old. Again, and you've said, you know, we all know our children's limitations, and we need to be realistic and responsible about that. Do you ever look back after catching that much flack and wonder maybe he was too young?
I look back and I'm really glad that I let him do it because obviously I've been examining this story now for the last 6 years. Now my son's 16. And he was ready for it, and I based my decision on letting him go on reality. The reality is he speaks the language. We're on the subways all the time. The subways are teeming with people, so they're safe. I think of their safety in numbers. And I'm glad that I let him do it. I'm really glad I wrote about it, or I wouldn't be here talking to you today.